Hi everybody. In part 2 of our Overlay as a Service series, we're going to look at Fortinet's Overlay as a Service and demonstrate how easy it is to create policies which allow site-to-site communication with it. If you haven't already, be sure to check out part 1 where we go over the simple process of creating your SD-WAN overlay network using Overlay as a Service. Here we have 4 sites, 3 branches, and 1 data center in Sunnyvale. After we create our overlay, one of the most common use cases is to allow all our different sites to communicate with each other. Using our intent-based policy engine, we can do all of this with one simple policy. Here, we are logged into Overlay as a Service. Let's now go to the Overlay as a Service policy section. You can see that we currently do not have any policies. Navigating the menu on the left, you'll see that we can create address objects, services, as well as apply advanced security inspection such as antivirus, IPS, web filtering, and application control to our overlay traffic. Now to create the policy, we must first look at our address objects. You will see that once our overlay was created, Overlay as a Service automatically created an address object for each of our local area networks. To further simplify things, what we can do is create a single object that represents all of the local area networks in our overlay network. To do that, let's go to the Address Group tab and click on the Create button. Let's give our address object a name. We'll call it All LAN. Let's select all of our sites one by one, and when we're done, click Save. The next step would be to create our policy. Click Create Policy. Let's give our policy a name, All LAN Access. For both source and destination, select the address group we just created. For service, select All. We can limit the scope of what's allowed if desired, but for our demo, we will allow all traffic between our sites. For schedule, choose Always, and action, select Accept. Finally, click Create. Once our policy is created, click Save to save the policy. After it's been saved, it's time to apply the policies to the 4 FortiGates in our overlay. To do that, simply click Apply. If you want to view the status, click on the Task Status button at the top. After a few seconds, you'll see that the policy change has now been applied. Now, let's log on to a couple of our FortiGates to see what Overlay as a Service did under the hood. Here's our Sunnyvale Data Center FortiGate, and you can see that Overlay as a Service created multiple policies on the FortiGate. This is a stark contrast to the single intent-based policy we created in Overlay as a Service. Now, if we log on to our New York branch FortiGate, we can see a very similar thing. A single policy in Overlay as a Service has resulted in 6 policies in each of our sites. The more sites we have, the more time and complexity we saved using Overlay as a Service. Moving on to our second use case, we want to allow all our branch sites access to a web server in our data center. We also want to apply some security inspection since the web server might allow uploading of files. We will go to Addresses and create an address object for our DC web server. Next, we will create a policy which uses our All LAN object as the source and our DC web server as the destination. However, this time, we will select protection profiles in antivirus and IPS. Finally, click Create. Now, like in the previous use case, we will save and apply, and once the policy has been applied to our FortiGates, we can log on to them to see that once again, a single intent-based policy on Overlay as a Service resulted in multiple policies being created on each of our FortiGates, thus, again, saving time and complexity. In just a few short minutes, using the Overlay as a Service intent-based policy engine, we've created policies for 2 very common use cases. If you haven't already, be sure to check out part 1 of our demo. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.